Today I will not just give you one but two golden eggs. I will explain to you how to show your thinking process, which must be in every successful portfolio. So what do the world's top 25 universities for art, design and architecture want? I've done the research for you, and one of the most common portfolio requirements is to show your thinking process. I'm going to show you a few screenshots from websites of these best universities. First one is here. We are particularly keen to see your thinking. Second one. Present your most recent work that showcases your thinking. Third one. Your portfolio should be comprised of your best work showing your skills and thinking. And the last one is my favorite because they really spell it out here what they want from you, and they say, we don't want to only see finished pieces, show us how you work through ideas and include the process. And then they explain further what they want, but basically what it means is they want to see your thinking process. It doesn't matter if you're applying to architecture, fine arts, drawing, painting, fashion, interior design, graphic design, animation, and so on. All of these degrees at the best universities in the world require from you to show your thinking process. And today I will show you a very specific example how you can do this. Now, that will be one of the golden eggs. I promised you two. We have also prepared an amazing tutorial on secrets behind creation of a successful portfolio. The tutorial is completely for free and it is packed with incredible amount of know-how that we've gathered over the years, helping students like yourself to get accepted to their dream universities. So don't miss out on this. You can get a free access, including a practical checklist on teachingofart.com/portfolio. Now let's go back to how can you show your thinking process in your portfolio. I'm going to show you a drawing exercise that we gave to our students in our online classes. And it says, a design a playground inspired by the Rubik's Cube. Show your thinking process. Actually, most of the students really struggled with this. One of the problems was their technical skills, because this is relatively hard exercise on drawing perspective. But they also struggled with the concept behind this. When we asked them, tell us something about your design, the majority would not be able to tell us much. So I'm gonna do it completely differently. I will be working with my sketchbook and I'll try to go much deeper. I will try to really think this exercise through by documenting all the steps on the paper, even though it would be much more quicker to do them in my head. By the way, if you're interested in seeing our students' artworks or mine, you can check out our Instagram. It is packed with cool drawings, paintings, as well as photos from galleries, exhibitions. So it is a good source for inspiration. Okay, so where to start? Step 1. Get your sketchbook. On one page, let's call it page 1, analyze the assignment. In other words, write down what you think this exercise is about. So for those who don't know what the Rubik's Cube is, it looks like this. I have one at home. And it's a kid's toy, although my note says it's a kid's joy, which is quite funny mistake, so I left it in my sketchbook on purpose. And what it actually is, it's relatively a complex puzzle that, has got one solution and it's really hard to solve. Now, the assignment itself is about designing a playground. So what's the next step? What you should do next? Step 2. You should think about and write down at least 3 inspirational sources. Now, an inspirational source can be anything. Just think anything around you. Any first thoughts when someone says the words playground or Rubik's Cube? I will give you an example. I will show you mine. My first one was physics, because when I thought about the playground, first thing that came to my mind was equipment and machinery, and that kind of reminded me of physics. The second one was my childhood, and the third one, was about history, because you can always find inspiration from history, for example, history of design. I left the fourth one blank, but you could write down even abstract terms. For example, emotions like joy or anger can be inspirational sources. The inspirational source can be, but doesn't have to be linked to the playground or the Rubik's Cube. But you will see later that linking and making connections are quite key. Okay, step number 3. For each inspirational source, do at least 3 pages in your sketchbook. So that means that there should be minimum of 9 pages full of ideas expressed either through sketches or words. So there should be at least 3 pages on physics, at least 3 pages on childhood, and 3 pages on history of design. And those are mine inspirational sources. You should come up with yours. In this video, I will only do one. I will show you how I work with the childhood as an inspirational source. And remember, the aim here is to design a playground while using the Rubik's Cube as inspiration. So you should always bear that in mind. So the hardest thing is always where to start. And you should start by asking questions. How to do this? Okay, so how? Well, the Rubik's Cube and playground are 2 things I can relate to, because I play with the Rubik's Cube as a kid and I love spending time with my friends at the playground. So I ask my first key question: what did I like doing when I was a kid? And basically that was the title to my first page on childhood. And here I was trying to remember everything I like doing and express it through sketches. What I'm doing here is reconnecting with my child me. By doing this, I'm trying to free my mindset and think like a kid for a moment. So when I moved to my second page on childhood, I tried to find some common themes across the things I enjoyed the most. And based on the words, I came up with an idea of a diving or jumping platform. And then I started thinking about the design, what it could look like. On the third page, I have done more detailed sketch of my final concept. And I did a bit of a brainstorming around the name. And I came up with the mystery jumper. So I'm gonna call this thing the mystery jumper. And I even remembered a quote from my childhood. And by the way, this is a true story. My mom always said to me, would you jump off a cliff if everyone else did? And what it means basically is I always wanted to do something that my friends were doing. For example, they used to go swimming in the local river, and it relatively was quite dangerous. So my mother would forbid it, and she would say this quote, which would drive me mad. But basically she was saying, are you willing to do something so stupid, risking your life, only because others do it? So telling this humorous story in your portfolio from your own experience would add extra value. Now, there's also linkage to my previous page. So when I was thinking about, what will be down at the bottom of my platform, I thought about sand, water, or netting. And then I got a little bit philosophical and I thought about the unknown, because kids are blank sheets of paper. Their minds and egos are not yet so solid. Their future's unknown. There is much more freedom in their life. And here is the twist. Unknown is another word for mystery. Mystery is connected to the Rubik's Cube because by solving the Rubik's Cube, you are solving the mystery. So here is another idea. On the page number 4, I wanted to think about colors. And initially I wanted to do something very obvious, so it would really resemble the Rubik's Cube. But then I noticed that the Rubik's Cube is almost made of primary and secondary colors. Primary colors are red, yellow and blue. So red, yellow, blue. And secondary are orange, green and purple. But notice there is no purple here. It's white. So I decided to use purple instead. Why? Well, A, it will be much more simpler to use just one color. B, it will be more creative. And C, again, there is that linkage to the mystery. Why am I using a color that is not on the Rubik's Cube? Okay, so once you repeat this step number 3 with the other inspirational sources, you draw your final artwork, and here is the example what it could look like. Remember that in your portfolio you must sell everything as a package. So in conclusion, what did I do to show my thinking process? I created a story. I documented every part of this story using my sketchbook. I used multiple pages, not just one, and every page had at least one interesting idea. So the first page was inspired by my childhood, second page had the actual design based on the Rubik's Cube, third page had the quote from my mother, fourth page was inspired by colors on the Rubik's Cube. And notice that I was constantly asking questions on each page and I was giving answers to these questions. So basically you don't need me to verbally tell you what the story is, because it should be obvious from the individual pages. And then the final sketch only sells my technical skills and my ability to present my concept. So where most people make mistake is, they only present the final artwork. If I did not provide anything, any background on this drawing, the person who assesses my portfolio, they would think, yes, the student can draw well, the student has some technical ability in drawing perspective. But they are interested in seeing how you create, how you think. By adding the story, in other words, by adding sketches, you are showing your thinking process. So I really hope that we have solved one mystery today, and that is now you will understand what it means to show your thinking process in your portfolio. Don't forget to check out our amazing tutorial on secrets of successful portfolios, because it really does reveal secrets behind portfolios and it will help you to get accepted to your dream university. You can get it for free along with a practical checklist on teachingofart.com/portfolio. And if you have enjoyed this, please give it some love by liking it, subscribing, or leaving a nice comment below. And I can't wait to see you at my next episode.